Thank you very much, David. Just want to say thanks for Nick and the team for an outstanding RRS Gold Coast conference. This is our first time here, but we'll definitely be back. So as David touched on, recently rebranded as of pretty much a week ago. So if nothing else from today, those 4 points down the right-hand side are really the key takeaways. We are a South Australian and WA focused gold explorer. Our projects are near large-scale existing deposits. We've had some fantastic recent results from our first drill program, and we've got multiple high-impact drill programs coming up. So Auravelle Metals, we have been rebranded from SEPA. Most people have probably heard of SEPA. It's been around for a very long time. However, we thought it was time for a refresh. We've got a new strategic direction. We've refreshed the board. We've refreshed the portfolio, bringing in gold assets. And we've also significantly increasing the exploration activity. So our new ticker is AUV. So if you've previously looked for SEPA SRI, now you need to look for AUV. So I mentioned active exploration. So we've already been on ground and completed a drill program in July in South Australia. We got some outstanding results. We've just completed our second drill program in South Australia. We finished that on Monday. We put an announcement about that yesterday. That's followed up our She-Oak prospect where we got the initial high-grade results. We'll then be drilling Crown with Aircore in Western Australia and followed up by further RC in November in South Australia. So that's 4 drill programs over the second half of this year. We'll also be doing some soil sampling and some geophysical interpretation that'll help the story. So I'll get into those in more detail, but quick snapshot of the strong activity that we're undertaking. Just a quick corporate overview, a couple of highlights, I suppose, or things to look at. Sub 10 million market cap, so very, very good risk reward, as you'll see in due course. The other thing to note too, we bought these projects in at the start of the year. We finalised the transaction in February, and you can see we've had an excellent increase in volume within the market. So market's very much liking what we're doing. There's been a good inflection point in the share price, and volumes and turnovers has increased significantly. Outstanding board for a company our size, very active and engaged board. Diverse range of experience from Craig McGarren, who used to run DJ Carmichael's in Perth, gentleman stockbroker and corporate advisor. Myself, I'm originally a geologist for 12 or 13 years and also spent about the same amount of time in finance as an analyst in corporate finance. Stephen Biggins, who vended the projects in and took core, listed it and took it up to a $2 billion company. And John Forward as well, for many of those will know him. He's with Lowell Investment Funds. So the projects that we're focusing on here, you can see there's 3 in South Australia, Sky, Tunkillia North and Knuckle Hill, and Crown in Western Australia. So key thematic on all of them, all very good geology. They're in proven regions, very much strategic locations, yet ironically actually quite underexplored. Zooming into South Australia, so we've got Tunkillia North, Knuckle Hill and Sky, all gold focused. We've got some fantastic neighbours in this part of the world. Barton is very much leading the charge for us with their large Tunkillia deposit. Alex has been putting out some really good news and has demonstrated their strategy going forward. It's a big system. Marmota has been putting out some outstanding drill results, as has Indiana. And we are the small guys on the block, so to speak, but looking to charge pretty hard. Our market cap's only circa 9 million. Relative to others, we've got a lot of upside. And obviously, the key thing that underpins this area, there's some big gold deposits in the region. Obviously, Challenger, which had a long history of mining, and Tunkillia, 1.6 million ounces. We think there's fantastic potential to find a lot more large-scale deposits in this part of the world. Zooming in a little bit further into Tunkillia North and Nucula Hill. So, I mean, without being flippant, the best indicator for gold is gold. We know there's a plus 1 million ounce deposit located in the same rocks in the Yalbrinda Shear that we have. We've got 40 kilometres of strike of the Yalbrinda at the southern end, and the Yalbrinda also intersects our Tunkillia North project. The irony being that this area, particularly Nucula Hill, has had very, very little exploration since the 1990s. Zooming in further, looking at Nucula Hill, so we're only 15 kilometres south of Tunkillia itself. We've got 40 kilometres strike of the Yalbrinda Shear Zone. Obviously, there's been a lot of gold-rich fluids charge up the Yalbrinda. The obvious big deposit is Tunkillia. We think there is significant potential for other large-scale deposits within that shear on our ground. South Australia had its day in the sun, so to speak, in the 1990s when there's a lot of companies went around doing calcrete sampling, generated some gold and calcrete anomalies, did some first-pass drilling, found Tunkillia, found Challenger, and then not really much happened, which is a bit of a surprise given the quality of the geology in this part of the world. So the projects that we've got haven't been drilled since the 1990s. Our first drill program that we did at Sheoak, we got some outstanding grades. 8 metres at 10, including 4 metres at 16, which is, for a very first drill program in new ground, we were absolutely ecstatic about. So zooming in to Sheoak, as I said, there's been no drilling in this since the 1990s. We went and did a small-scale RC program, basically just following up the historic work that's been done. Got some outstanding results. 4 metres at 16 is the key number, within 16 metres at 5.6, 4 metres at 5.1, that was within 16 metres at 2. Strike length of at least 150 metres long, still open to the north, still open to the south, and still open at depth. As you can see there, at this point in time, we think there's a good potential for 3 mineralised zones. However, it needs a lot more drilling to understand what's going on. We've just finished a follow-up drill program. As I said, that's the one that finished on Monday, and we've put some holes to the northwest in this. Those results will come out in mid to late October. Cross-section, just showing what the high grades at Sheoak look like. The really interesting thing too here, as you can see, the historic drilling that overlies it, which is the pale grey air core holes, immediately above those high grades, they didn't get anything. So it's a real opportunity, I suppose, to reassess all the historic work, and just because the historical drilling didn't necessarily get anything, that doesn't mean the area is sterilized. So very much you've got to keep your eyes open and take the blinkers off. As I said, we've just finished drilling this. Follow-up results will be in early October. Looking at the more regional picture, as part of that work program in the 90s, you can see the calcrete sampling that's been done. So that generated a series of anomalies over a 10 kilometre strike. So for us, they're the obvious first pass targets to go and test. So you can see Sheoak down the bottom, all the way up to Bimba in the northern part of that. However, and it's a big however, with 40k strike of the Yalbrinda, at the northern end of the tenement, there's lake sediment cover. So we don't think that calcrete sampling was likely to be effective in that area. And in the south, you actually have some pretty substantial sand dune cover. So likewise, at the southern end, we don't think that calcrete sampling has been effective. So we actually think there's large parts of the Yalbrinda within Nucula Hill that really have not been tested effectively at all. So to that end, we need to understand the underlying structures of this. So we're undertaking a detailed structural and geological review that is underway. And we're also going to go out and do quite a large soil sampling program in areas that didn't previously have calcrete. So while this is earlier stage type work, this is going to set us up for generating drill targets for 2026. Now, at the northern end of the Yalbrinda, we've got our Tunkilia North project. So this is located, as you can see from that diagram, about 10 kilometres north of Barton's large Tunkilia gold deposit. So as you can see from that diagram there, Tunkilia was found using gold in calcrete sampling. On our ground, you can see there's a large 5 by 5 kilometre gold in calcrete anomaly. That was drilled with one line by MIM in the 90s, and they walked away from it. So the drilling program that we've just done, we've put 4 or 5 traverses through the middle of that air core, the calcrete anomaly. We'll have those results in mid to late October, so that'll be a really key test on the potential of Tunkilia North. And we also put some holes into our Quarterby where there's some historic grades from historical drilling. Moving up to Sky. Sky is, we think, just as prospective as Tunkilia North and Knuckler Hill. However, it's slightly earlier stage for us. The focus was on the area that had slightly more exploration. So we're looking at getting on Sky later on this year with a view to drilling this next year. So the key things about Sky are it's a long strike from the plus million ounce Challenger deposit. It's about 40 kilometres away. It's very, very close to Marmota's Aurora Tank prospect, where they've been getting some outstanding high grades. And it's about 30 kilometres along strike from Marmota's Greenwood deposit that they put some very high grade results out last week. And even closer, there's 120,000 ounces at Gulf Bore that's also owned by Barton. So look, we think this is a very, very prospective area. We just need to get on ground, do a site visit, then get in and drill that next year. Moving across to Western Australia, we've got our Crown Gold Project. Outstanding location. You can see Kalgoorlie there. It's about 40 minutes drive away from Kalgoorlie. Excellent road and transport infrastructure. We're adjacent to Black Cat. We've also got Vault to the south and Horizon, all with processing plants within trucking distance. Obviously a very highly endowed area around Kalgoorlie, lots of large gold deposits. Now the beauty about Crown, we've got a number of targets that we want to go and test, but we don't need to find anything particularly big on this ground to be able to generate shareholder value. Given the number of processing plants that we've got nearby, we can if we find something, we can very easily monetize this via whether we do a toll treating or sale agreement. We'll just see what we can get, but the size of the prize doesn't need to be too big to be able to generate some pretty impressive shareholder returns. So, quick snapshot. As I said, on the right-hand side, high impact drilling on multiple targets. We've got regular, significant news flow and leverage to the gold price and, of course, exploration success. So we finished drilling at Knuckler Hill. We got outstanding grades from Sheoak. At Tunkilia North and Knuckler Hill, we finished air core drilling. That finished on Monday. Results will be through in October. We'll be drilling Crown in early October, and then we'll follow up with more RC drilling in South Australia in the fourth quarter. In addition, we'll be doing a soil sampling and completing our geological review of South Australia. So, following the rebranding from SEPA, very much gold-focused, active exploration, very much low EV, cash in the bank, good board, and a lot of news flow to come. Thank you very much.